Hello everyone, welcome to the video series on UFT automation. In this video, we will look at parameterization using action properties. I mean to say action parameters. I have a base script here. We have used it in many videos. This script will launch the sample application, log in, make a reservation, and it'll close the application. So let me go ahead and run it just to make sure that we have no issues with the script. Okay, the order number was 27 and it finished running. It went through fine, no issues. So now let me introduce you into the action properties. Say for example, I'll work with make reservation action. First, let's go into the canvas. Here, I'm going to right click on make reservation, then go to action properties. Here there's a tab called parameters. So these are action parameters. It could be input or it could be output, meaning I could say for example I could tell I want to have my passenger name as test traveler. So once I have this set here, then I can use it within the script. And let's say I'll add one more parameter called number of tickets, and I always want to book 5 tickets every time. And then let's say I want to output a value, say the order number, and I want to also output let me put a total cost. I want to do that. Then let's say I want to also add a date in there. I'll say travel date, and this is of type date, and I will pick December 31st. And okay, I have a travel date. I'll just make it student. UFT student. That's our passenger name. Number of tickets 5. Date December 12. And we have output here. It's a string. We have few data types here. We'll keep it string. Okay, and this will capture the total cost. Okay, now let me go ahead and save it. Once I okay that, there's a little change here to the screen. So for make reservation action, you have input as 3 and exit as 1. This is input and exit. Input is we're passing these 3 values into the action, and here in this case the output is the total cost. Again, these are just the parameters that we defined. The input, we are saying that okay, there are 3 parameters with certain values. So the output is just the name, total cost, nothing more than that. And let's see how we can use it to parameterize our test case. I'll go ahead and save it. Then now go into make reservation. Here what I'll do is let me start with the date. So instead of actually I have 2 lines here. This is incorrect. Okay, that's the date line. Instead of passing the date with a static value, let me copy this line and comment this so that you have something to compare. So instead of this, I'll replace that with something called para and do control space parameter, open the bracket, and then you should see the values from there. You will see all input parameters and output parameters. This is the date, so there's a travel date here. Double click on that, close it, and we have number of tickets. So I can take this, copy that, and instead of 2, I'm going to replace that with this. So instead of travel date, what do we have? It's actual number of tickets, so that goes there. And we have the passenger name, so instead of this, I'll replace that with passenger name. So this, and then we had 3 inputs here, and we have output, which is the total price. So let us go ahead and run this and see if the script is actually getting the values from the action properties. So logged in, and it was able to send the date 12/31. UFT student, you can see it here, worked just fine. Well, so it was able to use the action properties. Let us go to the make reservation, and then go to the date. So it passed 12/31/2014, and number of tickets, text name, set name, UFT student, tickets 5. So these values actually came from our action parameters. Again, these are different types. We used data sheet before, and now we are using action properties. Again, it all depends on your need. These are different kinds of options. I mean, if you ask me what's the best way to do it, again, it depends on your needs. If you want to use spreadsheets, you can, but if there's a configuration value that's only used once, and if it's always constant, then you can probably use action properties. We'll also talk about environment variables, that's later, but for now we'll confine our discussion around action parameters. So we used parameters, action parameters. Now we'll use also I'm sorry, let me go back into the action properties, and we use the input parameters. Now we will use output parameters, where we'll grab the value total cost and pass it into this variable, and then we'll apply some logic there. Let's try if I can attempt it with existing script. So I want to grab the total cost while on this screen. So the total cost is here. So let me right click on that area, do output value. So it's grabbing the whole dialog box or window, but not I really want the text from the text field, which is the total cost. So I'm not able to. That means the UFT is not recognizing the object. So now what we need to do is we need to get that object into the object repository. So and you can do it a couple of ways. So let me try it one way. Let me do this. Let me start the application, and then what I'll do is log in. To log in, I will open the object repository. Keep that ready. You can do it while recording as well, but I'll use it in a different way. I'll do plus and then click on this total cost field. I'll get the total field. Okay, and that gets added. I'll give it a decent name, total cost. That will be the name. So now that I have the object, then I can start working with it. Now what I can do is So you get the total cost as soon as you enter the number of tickets. So we pass the number of tickets, then let us now work with this field. All you need to do is drag and drop it here. Its value is set, but we want output value. So we can say, you can, there are a couple of things you can do. You can do dot. So the get visible text, and we need to pass this into, you know what, let me do a simplest way. This is getting into a little bit of programming that I didn't talk about. Let me do it in a different way. Let me I want to start recording here, and so I want the application to be at that point. Test Mercury. So I want to grab the output from this field. So I have this here. I'll go to the point where I want to add the output value here. What I'll do is I'll start recording. So now that I have the screen, what I'll do is I'll use this drop down and say standard output value, and then click on that field, the text box that contains the total price, total cost. Click on that. I get this dialog box, standard output value. Do OK. Now the value that I want to capture is the text from there. I mean, now it's blank, but that's a property that contains the total cost. Now from here, where do you want to output the value to? Currently it is if I click on the modify thing, you have option here. If I do this data table, then it will output the value to the data global sheet, which you have seen in the other video. But if I do environment variable, which we didn't talk about, it will go to the environment variable. Rather, I want to do the action property, action parameter. When I do that, this will list you all the action parameters that are defined as output parameters. Right now we only define total cost, so that's the only thing we have. So we'll pick that, do OK. You can see it here, capture the total value, and the output name is this, and the actual type is the action parameter. Do OK, and the recording is done. We'll stop recording. So what we did was, at the time of recording, we use output value and then use the action parameter to output the value. And now you can see this is how it is, this is how it's outputting the value. Let's go ahead and run it, and we'll apply some logic here after making sure that it is actually capturing the value. So the total cost is $537.35, as you can see here. Let's look at the results here. So the output, you have $537.35. So now that we have the value, we can play with it if you want. Say for example, so now that after this step, the value is inside the action parameter. What I'll do is I'll say total cost. Yeah, you can do it a couple of ways, but I'll do it in a longer version so that it's easy for you to digest. Let's say I'll just call it a cost, simple. Cost equal to parameter, and then we want to get that value from the total cost. So that is, in step 28, we grab the value of the screen and pass it to this parameter. Now what I'm doing is getting the value from that parameter and passing it to the cost. But that I'll say cost string. The reason why I say cost string is, you'll see that here. I'll just do print for testing purposes. I'll say the total cost is cost string. If I run the script, on the output I should see that cost here. Let me go ahead and run the script. 537.35. Look at the output screen here. It had the total cost is 537.35. What if you want to display a message if it is over $500? Let's say if I were to add a small logic here, I say if so it was total cost. If total cost is greater than 500, I want to say print. I'll just put some dotted lines there. Print the total cost is greater than $500. So I want to print this. Just paste it here as well. So now I'm hoping, I mean, we already know that the cost is more than $500. So I'm hoping that, if the cost is over $500, which it is true, right? It is true. Then I should be seeing these three. Let's see if that's the case. Okay, the cost is $537.35, which we already know. And it said the total cost is greater than $500. So it did that. Let me do a quick thing. Let's say we want to add a little more logic to find the difference between the actual cost and $500. Let us kind of write a little logic here and say cost. Once it is over 500, it'll go in here. We'll add a statement here. Diff cost equal to it is total cost or cost string minus, we'll say 500. So now if I were to print diff cost, and this is 537 something minus 500, so I should get $37 something. So now I want to print the total cost is that more than $500. I'm just putting some sentence there. So what we are trying to do here is we want to grab that value, find the difference, meaning cost string, what we're getting from the screen is 537 something, and we're subtracting 500, so the diff is 37 odd something. Then it should say the total cost is $37 more than $500. That is the base cost. Just for the sake of running through the logic, let me go ahead and run and see if this works. Well, as you saw, if we go back here, $37, that's the difference. Total cost is $500, and the cost, it was able to do a little logic there. So in real-time applications, that's what you will do. You'll put some basic logic in there, do some sort of validations and all that. Given the fact that you know more about your business and application, you will be able to easily insert certain logics into your script. So that's how you work with your action parameters. Again, when you add action parameters, This is where you add, and you will see little arrows. One, depending on number of parameters here, you will see the little number right on the canvas that tells you, 3 values are coming into the action, and there's one value that is as an output value. And again, we are using action parameters. Well, that's it about action parameters. You can use it to your advantage depending on your business need. And we will talk about environment variables in the next video.